Hi guys, and welcome to this week's reading vlog where we're gonna sit down and lock in today and read TikTok's most popular rom-coms, Emily Henry edition, to kind of see if these will help me find my next 5-star read, because I found only one 5-star book so far this year, the book Caught Up by Liz Ford. So I feel like the hopes are very high up in finding another 5-star. Any reader at this point would be clamoring for one, but also because the other 5-star I found is a romance read. These are all romances by my favorite author that I haven't gotten to yet, which means these have like the most highest chance probably at the moment of me giving it 5 stars and having the best time reading it, which is why these are the ones we're going to be reading in today's vlog. And let's just jump right in, because I've been waiting a whole year to read these, that it's finally time I can sit down and do it. So now for context, I actually recorded part 1 of this video about exactly a year ago, wherein I read Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation and Book Lovers by the same author in. And Beach Read was actually a reread, but regardless of that, I ended up giving that 6 stars. It's still my favorite book to this day. I read People We Meet on Vacation in that, which was another like 5-6-star book, had the best time. And Book Lovers, while at the moment then it was 5 stars, upon reread I kind of pushed it down to a 4.5, but I feel like that's still a high enough rating to say that she is probably one of my most highly rated authors. She and Abby Jimenez are probably easily my favorite romance writers ever, which means, you know, locking in, getting to read the rest of her backlist that I haven't gotten to yet, this is my best chance at finding another 5 stars, simply because I'm leaving for vacation in like a month at this point, which means I want at least one of these to be 5 stars so I can take it along with me and reread then, because we all know that her books are literally made for summer. They're supposed to be read during the essence of it to kind of soak up the whole experience, and that's basically what I want at this point, because I'm not really sure if this is true, but it doesn't look like we're getting a new book by her this year, which means I'm having my Emily Henry withdrawals. I need my fix, and that's how I'm going to get it, by reading all of these. But also because I actually did my reread of People We Meet on Vacation a couple days ago for my last week's video, and ever since I finished that, this has been the only thing on my mind. I crave her writing. I miss going back home to her characters, and so that's the only reason basically at this point that I want to jump right in and start them off. Starting off strong with Happy Place. We'll be reading in publication order because I've heard there's like a bunch of Easter eggs in this as well that I really want to catch, and so let's just start right now. Let's just start with this one. I've heard it's Second Chance, and I know that's gonna slay and slap and hate because it's my favorite subtrope ever, which means I'm gonna jump right in now. I'll see y'all once I have updates to give. But again, I'm so excited because I've been waiting so long to record this that my hands are literally shaking, because what do you mean I get to read a new Emily Henry book that I haven't gotten to yet now, with my favorite trope in it, with a good chance that it's 5 stars, and hopefully I'm just gonna have the best week ever because I know that's on the cards for it. Okay guys, update number 1 time, because all I've done all evening is lock in and kind of start Happy Place, the first book we wanted to get to in this video. I have been listening to the audiobook because I heard Julia Whelan was narrating, and I love her as an audiobook narrator, so I've been listening to that, kind of stitching out some of my patterns for my fashion class stitches and whatnot, and having a gala of a time as I'm kind of listening to her narrate an Emily Henry book, kind of crafting, doing everything else in the background. But as all of that's been happening, I have managed to go ahead and read, I would say, about between like the 35 to 40% mark, because that's where I'm at right now. It's chapter 14, page 144, and so far all I have to say is that I'm not so sure about this one, so I'm going to give you a premise and then my original quick brief thoughts before I go and get dinner, and then later I'll continue again in the night. But basically for the story, we follow Harriet and Wynne, and essentially they're like the perfect couple. They've just been in love for so long together now that at this point they go together like bread and butter and whatnot. They're literally perfect for each other, and while they met back in college in the same friend group, it stayed the same to the point where now they're engaged. Except fast forward to present day, it's been 6 months since they broke up, and no one really knows because they didn't have it in their hearts to kind of tell their friends. Neither of them, it seems at the moment, have even accepted the fact that they're not together anymore, and so no one really knows about that except their friends. Their friend group's been the same since college and whatnot. They've been there for each other since the biggest ups and downs of their lives. They are the sort of people who know these guys the best, so you know, it's maybe time to come clean, except when they actually go on one of their yearly annual summer trips at one of the best friends' summer house houses, they run into each other and they realize that while it might be time to come clean, they also find out that the house is actually being sold in a month's time, and so this is going to be their final week in that house, in their happy place, but also it's going to be their final week with all of these people in the same surrounding they've had since years before there'll be upheaval and change. And they don't really want to rock the boat too much, especially because everyone's just feeling nostalgic and emotional, and also because one of the couples in that friend group is getting married and they don't want to like draw attention away from their big day and whatnot. So they want to celebrate, they want to pretend like they're a couple still happily in love, to like again not draw attention to themselves, to keep things as they were, except as they're pretending and whatnot so that everyone else can have a good time on this final trip. They start realizing that they still have feelings for each other, stuff is still left unsaid, they don't want to have been broken up anymore, but at the same time they can't really get back together because you don't know why they broke up in the first place. There's issues and cracks in the relationship and they're trying to pretend like everything is smooth sailing. So that's basically the book. They're trying to pretend in front of all of these people who know them the best, and it's only going to be some time before their secret comes out to light. So you're really just trying to figure out why they broke up in the past, what's going on right now, and that's the story. It is divided into past and present timeline, and obviously there's a summer trip, so it's giving quite the essence of like people we made on vacation, because I'm really enjoying that, because that one was such an incredible read. My reread just now, I had the best time, and so that is a fun aspect. The past and present timeline as well. Past, you watch them kind of connect and start to fall in love, and in the present now basically you're trying to figure out why they fell out in the first place, and you know, obviously watch them try to reconcile through all their issues, because they're obviously soulmates, they're so in love, they make sense together. So why are they not together is the question. But also you have the whole background of like the friend group and stuff, everything else with it, how these people have sort of grown up together, and you start to realize that maybe happy place isn't like that cottage they keep going back to every summer, but it's actually the people they keep going back to. And I feel like the irony of the statement is obviously beautiful, but also there's also them kind of evolving with their friends and growing up together and starting to like become every version of each other together. And so there's all of that. And overall, I'll say one thing about this book, the setting is just so beautiful. It's so amazing. It's getting me excited for my own vacation in a month's time. I've just been picturing beaches and like good long summer days thanks to this, and that I'm really enjoying right off the bat. That was something that caught my eye. Another thing was the writing style, just the way it's written. To me, it's just beautiful. There's certain things that I want to go back and maybe annotate this, and again, I keep saying that, but at the same time, it's my copy. I don't know why I'm holding back. I've got only one life, so might as well just like jump in and annotate, because there's so many beautiful sentences that have just been written out throughout that honestly we need someone to go ahead and nitpick Emily Henry's brain for how does she come up with these kind of things. But then also there's the fact that you have that connection that's being established that I really was enjoying in the beginning. However, at this point now, while everything stayed the same, I'm not really sure about them as a couple, because I am enjoying the scenes. At the moment at least, they're starting to start to slowly break from that icy facade of like just pretending everything's fine, and you start to see their real fire and true selves come out. So I'm enjoying that as well. It's just at the moment I'm a little unsure about the two of them, because I'm not really seeing the connection, but at the same time, I don't know, I feel like if I stay put with it, I definitely will. So it isn't like something I've loved right off the bat in terms of their connection, at least the way I did for the other books I've read of hers. But at the same time, I feel like if I stick with it, I might change my mind, because the setting and the writing wise, it's an easy 5-star. It's just the connection. I'm hoping that, you know, it might get a little bit better and we might get them actually starting to open up fully and start to realize what broke them apart in the first place, that maybe it'll be back on track to being a 5-star. But yeah, otherwise I'm still really enjoying it. I'm getting giddy at some bits are just so funny, giggly, but also you've got like deeper moments, and again, it's just beautiful how this group of people have come together for themselves in this certain way. It just shows you how beautiful friendship is overall, because first and foremost, her books are not rom-coms, they're more like literary fiction with a subplot of romance, and so that just makes it all the more better when you eat it up. And I think it's finally going to be time now that you actually start getting more of that, and I'm really waiting, because we just had the bar scene, if anyone's read that, and at the moment at least I think we are shifting gears onto the right track, because that scene, I think my brain's just going to be forever changed, the chemistry of it, because of that. The jealousy, I'm sorry, I know I'm gonna eat this up. It's second chance, and so I'm just waiting for that at the moment, which is why if I were to rate it right now, it's like a 4.5, but things can definitely change in its favor, especially because of where we ended off right now. And yeah, I'm gonna go get dinner now. I'll cut you off in a bit, but that was my first update for it. I just quickly wanted to discuss a couple things before I go ahead and probably sit down tonight and read like a good chunk of it, because again, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying the audiobook narration a lot as well. Julia Whelan's just doing such an incredible job of giving all the emotion emotions across as you're listening, and so I can't wait to see where it goes. And yeah, regardless of how I enjoy it or not, I am considering taking this along with me again on vacation because I want to reread just for the atmosphere and setting, because that's just beautiful in my opinion. It's perfect for summer vacation. And so yeah, so overall I'm feeling quite happy about this one because Emily Henry books are my happy place, which is why I'm gonna get on with it. And I'll see you guys now in a little bit, maybe tomorrow, once I have more updates, more of this read and whatnot, more things to say. But so far so good. And yeah, this is where I'm at right now. These are my thoughts, and I'm gonna go now. Bye. Okay guys, so a quick update before I go and finish Happy Place out, because at the moment at least I'm on chapter 35 and I have exactly 35 pages left, so I feel like perfect timing to kind of update and then go ahead and read the rest out. But basically all I'll say is, after my last update, I had dinner, came back, all I've done is sit and read. I haven't been able to like pull away since, and today I actually had to go out in the morning. I had other plans and whatnot, and all I knew is that once I'm getting back home, I'm getting back to this book so I can continue reading it. And also I picked up donuts on the way back, which is perfect because now I can enjoy the last little bit of this book as I'm eating donuts. So I feel like already universe is lined up perfectly for me just to say that, hey, I take back everything I said in my previous clip. I don't know what I was on, I don't know what was wrong with me at the moment, because this book, I think it might be beach read for me, and we all know I read that a couple years ago. We all know that's like my number one favorite. Actually, that one and Marriage for One, it keeps like fluctuating between the two, but it's still my number one favorite, and I still think that this might beat beach read. It has to go wildly wrong in the last 35 pages for me to hate it at this point, because otherwise this might be the best book I've read so far by Emily Henry. It's gonna beat beach read. I never thought that would be possible, but apparently it is. Apparently she's outdone herself yet again, because this book, I don't know how to explain it to you. It's like having open heart surgery, but at the same time, instead of getting operated on, they're stabbing you right in there, and they just keep pushing the knife in, because the book, it's so painful. You need to truly just be ready for some emotional damage and harm when you're getting into this, because there's nothing happy about the book. It's not a cute fun summer romance. It's heavy and it's emotional and it's painful, and you watch these two people try to find their way back home to each other, but also there's so many obstacles in the way, which is obviously not fair, but they're still working toward, getting back together. And I think it's just such a beautiful story. But then overall, you've also got the coastal like background, which is just beautiful. Everything about it is screaming summer to me. I can't wait for my vacation now. At this point, I'm just so excited. And then there's also the found family, obviously, of all these other people who are only wishing the best for them. And I feel like this is just so beautiful in terms of all the friendship in it first, because you have the friend group and you have the friendship between these two that's been struck up, and then you get the love, and that just makes it so much better. And just all these people being her happy place at the end of the day, I don't know how to explain it to you, but again, Emily has outdone herself. All I have to say is that I'm obsessed with this book. I'm taking this 100% with me on vacation to reread. This might be something I keep going back to every few months, simply because just the way it's written is beautiful. The whole story is beautiful. The obstacles, obviously, that they're struggling through, it makes it real, and somehow, I don't even know why, it genuinely feels like bits of it, Emily Henry was like literally in my balls spying on me, because some of the things written in this book have been my exact thoughts, or have been, in the lives of people I know around me, and so it's very relatable as well. Many aspects of this are very easy to connect to, and all I'll say is that, again, their connection now, I 100% see it. I can see the chemistry, I can see the tension, but also I can see how, they belong together, because they have to be together in every universe, because they're meant to be. Alright, this is the epitome of romance in my opinion. They cannot beat this. There's never going to be anything else written like this, because this is just wonderful. Might also be my new favorite second chance romance of all time, and we all know that I've read countless books in that trope, because it is my favorite trope, which is why, again, it had many expectations and heavy burdens to carry on its shoulders, but it has slayed so far and fully fulfilled all of them. So again, has to be really bad the last 35 pages for my opinion to change, but overall, I'm obsessed with this. I can't wait to go obviously finish it out, but also it's going to break my heart because I won't be able to read this for the first time ever again. But yeah, I can't wait to go back and reread as well. Immediately now, I will start the next book, but I think I might also start a reread of this at the same time, because it's beautiful. And then at the same time, another thing is that these characters have such specific traits to them that if I were to pick them out of an Emily Henry lineup, I would pick them blindfolded because every single one of her characters has certain quirks and stuff that's unique to their story, and again the way everything lines up in this. All I'll say is that no one is in the wrong here, but at the same time the way they're all working hard to like make it work, it's just beautiful to me. So I'm gonna go finish it out now. It's kind of sad because I won't get to read this again for the first time, but I will still go finish it out and see how it goes. But yeah, basically I'm obsessed, in love with this book. And yeah, that's all I had to say. I might have to go and look up like special editions of it and stuff, because that's the kind of love I have kind of accumulated for this book just under 24 hours later from my previous update where I was kind of complaining about it. So I had to trust in the process, had to trust in my queen Emily Henry because she pulled through, and now I'm gonna go finish it out, meet up with y'all for the rest of the last little bit, and that's this update. Quickly though, I want to show you my bookmark. It's this little unicorn one because I showed my previous bookmark in my People We Meet on Vacation, that video, because my mom went to the department store a few days ago and she got me a bunch of like magnetic unicorn bookmarks, and this one now matches my cover, and I just really quickly wanted to show that. I know no one cares, but I thought it was funny and again really sweet overall. So I think that bookmark, because it's my first time using this one specifically, might just have to be reserved for this book specifically as well, because it just makes sense. It makes sense in my head. So again, end of story time now. I'm gonna go and I'll see y'all in a bit. But yeah, so far this is probably the most beautiful book I've ever read in my entire life, and that is saying a lot because I've read at least 850 books at this point. So yeah, here we are. Okay, it's update time. I finished Happy Place. I finished it yesterday and I've done nothing but obsess over it since. So all I'll say is, again, it wasn't like a question of whether it'd be 5 stars or not at the point wherein I crossed the like halfway mark and whatnot, but I have to come say it anyway. This is a 6-star book. At this point, this entire video is just not going to be a question of whether the book is going to be 5 stars. It's more or less how many I can find in a row, simply because Emily Henry, she just writes such bangers that always knock it out of the park. Everything I said in my previous update stands true. Everything about this book, such an incredible, wonderful, moving story. The fact that she was able to write such an emotional thing, it's crazy. A human did that. But also we have, again, beautiful writing. You have two people connecting in ways more than just emotional. You can see how they're soulmates and whatnot. You can see how they're supposed to like belong together and all of that coming in together. But then also you have the farm family, the friend group, and then you have the setting and whatnot, and everything comes in to make this book. And overall, I just had the best time ever. So basically, to round it off by saying 6 stars. At this point, I'm not sure if I like this one or Beach Read more, which means I am gonna have to reread both of these this summer again when I go on vacation, and that's not gonna be an inconvenience of any sort, because honestly, I'm just so looking forward to that, which is why stay tuned for my update for whenever I'm recording whatever vlog then. But just know that if this is able to tie with that book or maybe even exceed, I don't know, we've just crossed every single standard and barrier and broken it, because this is just, again, incredible, owns a piece of my heart, and I'm obsessed. So here we are with this book. Next up, I started the next book in publication order. Since I gave this one 6 stars, and I generally like it as a rule of thumb that if I end up giving something 5 or 6 stars, I take the rest of the day off, just read nothing, kind of refresh and reset my mind, but also kind of spend the time kind of obsessing over what I just ended up finishing and, you know, loving. I did end up not reading anything for the remainder of yesterday, simply because I just wanted to take a little break. So today I came back in strong with the next book in publication order, which is Funny Story. And all you need to know is that at this point I have the trade paperbacks of all of these books, the big ones, because I got them as soon as they came out in the market. I got this as soon as they came out. This was actually one of my birthday gifts that my family ended up buying for me. Year it came out, I believe it was 2023. So overall, we can confidently just say that, again, I'm a huge fan, but also I'm kind of mad at myself that I didn't get to it when I got the book, which was around the time it was released, because they're just so amazing and incredible. And this one, I'll be so for real, I had a few hesitations and qualms going into it, simply because it's not most well-loved story online. People are definitely, you know, conflicting about their opinions about it, but again, I didn't have to worry, because right off the bat I'm getting like the fizzly, bubbly feelings again, and at this point I'm not even like second guessing or questioning it. I'm feeling those 5-star feelings, and if it continues going the same way, I know it's gonna be it, because right now I managed to hit chapter 12, which is page 129, and this is how far in that is. So overall, by the way, this is what my bookmark looks like. It doesn't match the cover, but I don't even care. Yeah, overall I'm over a third of the way through, but I'm just feeling those vibes right now already. So this we already know is going to be very highly rated, if not 5 stars, if something goes wrong. But right now, just the formula of it and everything about it is definitely working in my favor. So again, I'm mad I didn't get to it sooner, but at the same time I feel like it's hitting me at the right time. And this is also going to be tied with the whole happy place beach read, that lot. So again, I'm going to take this with me, already decided, on vacation, reread all 3 together in the same week and just have the best time ever, because already it's such an incredible story, such an incredible time. I think I'm having the best week of the year so far reading wise, just because they're such amazing books, and I kind of regret not having gotten to them sooner, because again, Emily Henry, but at the same time, who did not expect this? You know what I mean? It's not out of left field. We all knew this was coming, and so it was just a matter of when, and it's come now. So I'm having the best time with this. Story wise, in this we follow Daphne. She's actually about to marry her fiance Peter in a little bit, except things go off the rails when he goes to his bachelor party and comes back realizing that, oh wait, he doesn't want to marry Daphne after all, because at his bachelor party he ends up kind of reuniting with his childhood bestie Petra, and she confesses her feelings to him, and apparently growing up together and whatnot, and kind of pushing it all off, considering it kind of taboo. They realize that now, looking back, they've been in love with each other since day one, and suddenly Daphne is caught in the crossfire because the marriage is called off. He asks her to move out of his house because at this point Petra is going to be moving in. They're going to be starting their own life together. Daphne's out of the story, and suddenly she doesn't know what to do because she's in this unknown city she came to for Peter, except now she's alone and by herself, and the only other person in the same predicament is Petra's ex, Miles. So she ends up deciding that okay, she's going to be rooming with him until she can get away at the end of the summer, except for now she's actually working a job as a children's librarian, which that just sounds so fun. I feel like all Emily Henry characters, they're just so quirky in the best way possible, because they have all these like cool unique things that they're doing, almost like everyday sort of normal people, but they still find these like incredible moving love stories that again, it brings me so much hope and happiness that I love them. But for Daphne specifically, she has this readathon at the end of the summer that she wants to stay for the children's library, and then after that she's free to go anywhere, and so she knows she's going to be there only for a little bit, but it still irks her knowing that these 2 other people that she was supposed to be confident and trusting of, they're having a great life off by themselves, and she's left in the down and dumps of the gutter and whatnot. So you know, she ends up moving in with Miles, feeling really bad and sorry for herself, but nothing really comes of it at the beginning. Little bit into their time rooming together, however, she walks in on Miles and they realize that they are in the same situation obviously, but they also realize that the only other person who can provide the same level of comfort to each other is each other. So they end up, you know, going out, having a wild night, getting drunk and whatnot, having the best bonding experience, becoming literally the best of friends. And as all of that's happening, because they are drunk and they can't think of any better idea, they decide that okay, why don't they pretend to fake date to kind of make Peter and Petra jealous. And that's like the best plan ever, because even though these 2 went off together, they're confident about whatever, it's not like they're going to be jealous in the sense that they want to get back with the partners. It's more or less going to be the what if decision of deciding whether they chose correct in choosing each other rather than staying with their partners. So because of that, and because they're pissed off and feeling a little bit petty, and honestly Peter and Petra had it coming, they deserved it, they're portrayed as somewhat okay people, but in my opinion what they did was horrible. These 2 start ending up, you know, spending time together, posting all these photos online together, pretending like they're so in love to kind of get on these guys' nerves. Except as all of that's happening, Daphne starts realizing that the plan is again getting derailed and off the rails, because suddenly she realizes that she's falling for her ex-fiance's new fiance's ex-boyfriend. Again, a mouthful, but all of that's happening. She's going to be going away at the end of the summer. It is kind of like a messy situation that they are in, but love is love, and you can't stop your heart in the matters of the heart. So there's that. And overall, again, I'll say I'm so obsessed with the story at this point. It's just so bantery and giggly. And overall, I forgot to mention it, but this book specifically had like the same humor and beach read I found. And so going into this, I thought that maybe that was like a one-off thing, but the same situation applies here, wherein I don't even know why, but for some reason that clicks in my head, and so that's making it even more enjoyable for me personally. But then also there's Daphne and Miles, and just their chemistry and the way they're together and whatnot, and the way they're pretending, but then again it's feeling more real than it should. And so, you know, you start to realize that they're again meant to be together, soulmates in every universe, soulmates in every lifetime. There's all of that, but then there's also like the background, the setting of where they're at in their cute little town, and then they're making a new friend at the library who's also cheering them on. They're having all these like cute moments together, very montagey, as they're trying to like upstage the others, but also they're starting to fall for each other. Again, I'm just feeling so 2000s rom-com-y with this, but also we have like other things discussed in this wherein it's like a literary fiction with the rom-com trope in it, which is why that's really fun. And so overall, I'll say having the best time right now. Online, I did see people compare Miles to Nick from New Girl, and I'll be so for real coming clean right now. A couple of years ago, I actually started New Girl, the show, just so I can understand why they're close and whatnot, which is why I knew I wanted to watch a couple of seasons of that before I get into the book. And going in now, I can confidently say that that is the case in the best way possible. So already I have someone, a new book boyfriend, I'm going to be obsessed with and obsessing over for a while, but also the hyperfixation runs so deep because it's so similar to New Girl in the best way possible that if you like those vibes, you're going to love reading this book, because that's like one of my favorite shows ever. And so already this is shaping up to be one of my favorite books ever. But then also there's like everything else that comes with the two of these people that again, they're so unlikely to make a couple because they're not similar in any sense of the way, but they still, just the way they're together and just the way they're so perfect and right for each other, that again makes you wonder if this was the whole thing along. And you know it's a romance book, they're supposed to be together, but at the same time, the way Emily Henry does it, these people are real in my head. They have their own quirks and set of traits that make them so different from every other character she's written, but them unique in their own way that I'm obsessed with and loving at the moment. So I'm gonna go get back to it. The best scenes and the best cute bantery moments and the best quotes and the best tension, so the best chemistry and just the way the story is going, to see what happens and ends up next. But yeah, I'm loving this so far. The humor is also really good, like I said, and so can't wait to get back to it. Can't wait to feel all those like giddy feelings again, because I'm getting it right now, and I just know that this is gonna be another great book. So yeah, with that out of the way, I'm gonna have dinner now. I'll get back to it after dinner, but there isn't a lot left in my opinion because it's an Emily Henry book. I will speed through it, but hopefully I'll be able to read quite a bit of it tonight, and then tomorrow I might finish it, who knows, because at the speed I'm going right now, I don't imagine anything else, which is why I'm gonna get back to it, and I'll see y'all in a bit now once I have my next update and whatnot. But so far, yeah, I'm obsessed with this book and I can't wait to again reread over the summer. So that's just a great sign, because I'm reading it for my first time right now, and I'm already planning a reread and planning to ask everyone I ever know to go and pick it up, because it's just such an incredible story that here we are having the best time ever. And I'll see y'all now in a bit once I have more things to say. But so far, this is just such a perfect, incredible, well-rounded out book that it's everything I've ever wanted in one packaged book, and what more could I have asked for? You know what I mean? Hi guys, it's now the next evening, nightish, and I've gone ahead and finished Funny Story, because honestly, the funniest part about this is that I wasn't able to put it down, which we already saw coming. And so while I did want to give a sooner update, maybe one more progress update before the final update now, I didn't have it in me to set it down, which is why here we are. I'm done at this point. I managed to make it to page 270 last night before I ended up going to bed at around like 4 and whatnot, calling it a night just because I wasn't able to put it down. But the bookmark is still in here because I've been listening to all of these books on audio, simply because number one, Julia Whelan obviously, and number two, I've actually been working on a bunch of like embroidery stuff. This is an elephant, if you can't already tell, and so I needed something to kind of listen to as I was making it anyway, and this was kind of like the perfect distraction. I do want to go back and reread this at some point though, so you can probably expect seeing me again, probably reading it physical this time over the summer now as my reread, because again, so many amazing quotes, so much amazing writing that I want to go back and mark in it just because it's just so amazing. And we all know I don't annotate, but again, Emily Henry books make me want to do that, because again, this was just incredible. I think everything I said in my last update stands true for this. At this point though, maybe because it was later in the night and I was kind of drifting off, I wasn't really sure how this book would fare, because we had hit a certain part in it wherein I wasn't sure how she'd take it beyond and how it kind of contributed to the story. But again, should have stayed strong in my beliefs, because it tied up in the end. It made sense, all of it. It made sense how these two people who have found each other now, Daphne and Miles, they're perfect for each other in every sense of the word. So again, should not have been concerned. This is another 5-star book as we expected. I'm so obsessed with the way she tells stories and whatnot, so should not have been concerned again. But also, everything about this spoke to me. That's a People We Meet on Vacation reference, if anyone gets it. Overall, yeah, I think this is such an amazing story as well. Not as good as Happy Place, don't get me wrong. That one was just incredible, but still this would be in my top 3 Emily Henry of all time, and that's still saying quite a lot because I feel like there's only one book of hers that I haven't given 5 stars at this point, Book Lovers, and I want to go read it and again reconsider, because again her books are just so amazing. This one, I feel like, actually not just this but every single story she writes, there's something about how realistic it is and how she makes these characters feel three-dimensional. I think it's because she writes more realistic stories happening to like realistic people, because they have like ordinary normal jobs. And before anyone comes at me, don't get me wrong, I for one love reading like tropey books with like billionaire romance and stuff, but sometimes it's more refreshing to read stuff about real life regular people and how they still find these sweeping like love stories that will take them off their feet, but also because they've got like real life problems and the kind of people they find fit in perfectly to the point where they were meant to find each other, and those problems can be tackled together now, the two of them together, which I feel like makes up the whole story component. But yeah, overall all I have to say is that kind of aspect of her storytelling is very prevalent across all of her books, but then here as well it was very, I'm not noticeable, and that's when I realized that the reason I like her books is maybe because I'm able to connect to them more than I'd be able to connect to say like a mafia romance or something like that, which is why again 5 stars. I haven't stopped thinking about it even though I literally just finished it, and I won't be reading any more books tonight simply because again found a 5-star book. I want to take a day off, just ponder over this, go look at edits and stuff, go look up like Pinterest aesthetics and stuff, because this is everything to me. I enjoyed this so much. She's a librarian. At some point she comes in to say audiobooks count as reading, so again we must trust Daphne's opinion because she is obviously top of her game, so that's, you know, making sense. But then also there were a bunch of like other small mundane moments that made up their love, and I feel like the message in Emily Henry books is also amazing in that sense, wherein you realize that love is not supposed to be like all these grand gestures coming together and make it like a big amazing story as it's kind of sold to you as a pre-packaged deal when you go and watch some movies or read some books that are, you know, supposedly that way. It's more or less about the, at least real life love is more or less about the moments wherein they're small and they're mundane, they're everyday life bits, but they still come together in this one big motion, and all of them combined together make those sweeping love stories, as is evident by these books. And overall, yeah, this was 5 stars. I'm obsessed with this. I'm obsessed with Miles. He's truly just like the most golden retriever sort of MMC you'll ever read about, but also in the best way possible. He's just such a nice person despite whatever happens to them, and there's obviously depth in both of their characters as to things they've had in the past, rocky childhoods and stuff, but again the way they come together for each other regardless of it all is just beautiful to me, and I loved every second. And also then there's the humor and the banter and again the chemistry, and overall, yeah, I'm so happy I read this. I loved it. Even the third act conflict in this book, I feel like it was very necessary to show you that these two people are meant for each other without like questions and stuff, which is why again, while I don't enjoy them normally, I still feel like this one made the book. And so 5 stars. I'm done reading this now. I'll forever mourn the fact that I can't go back and read this for the first time ever again. And all I have to say is that this is funny story by Emily Henry, but there's nothing funny about the amount of tears I shed while reading this, because somehow she makes me connect with every single one of her characters to the point where they're real in my head, but also because the story is just heartbreakingly real, and there are some bits you can relate to, some bits you feel so much pity over that these characters had to go through them, because obviously they're such amazing people, but that happens to everyday people. So again, loved the book so much, had the best time reading it, and if you haven't already, please go pick this up. This is like incredible, great for summer as well. At this point, yeah, I'm already waiting for the day I can go back and reread this, because it's just one of the best stories ever. I forgot to mention, but Happy plays that book because we keep getting references and whatnot. In my head, we compare the song Dress from Taylor Swift to that book. For this one, I'd say call it what you want, because again, if you guys have read the book, it makes sense. And there's just something I really quickly wanted to mention, because each of her books and each of her characters have their own like specific set of quirks and traits, as I've said before in the video and in my past Emily Henry videos, that make them specific and unique to their own story. But these specifically, just the way they line up with those songs, again, please go listen, please go read them together. Best experience ever. And here we are. Now moving on to Great Big Beautiful Life, since I just finished Funny Story and because I'm taking the night off, I'll see y'all now directly tomorrow once I start this and I have a little bit of updates to give you. But tomorrow is Friday, and would like to get this vlog done by like Saturday, Sunday, because that's around the time I'd like to post. So I'm not really concerned, because like it is a bigger book, but then also it's Emily Henry. I will binge it, which is why here we are. So excited to get into it. This was last year's new release, and after reading this, I won't have any more of like her adult rom-coms left to get to, because then there's no new release I think for this year, or at least nothing's been announced yet, which is why it's kind of heartbreaking knowing that this is the last one I have unread of hers at the moment, at least, because I can go back and reread all of them. It's just I haven't read this for the first time ever yet, which, you know, it's gonna be a great experience overall, but I'm a little scared because I've heard like mixed opinions on this online. So again, really depends on what I think, which is why I'll go start this tomorrow. I'll update when I, you know, come in to give updates and whatnot. But until then, yeah, so excited to get this one as well. I remember going to the bookstore a couple days before this got released last year, and they had it out early, and ever since I saw it like physically in a store, I just knew I wanted to like desperately read it, and the day's finally come. So I'll see y'all in a bit once I, you know, start this and whatnot. But that's the update. This is going to be our next and final book, and I'm just so ready for this to again be a highly rated one, because all of her books somehow they just come to me at the right moment in time and whatnot, and they end up being the best thing I've ever read. So let's see how this one fares. But yeah, I'm not really scared overall, because again, it's Emily Henry. There's nothing to be worried about, which is why having my best week right now, I'm gonna go get back to this, and I'll see y'all in a bit now once I have the next update. But that's it for right now, and bye. Okay guys, and so now it's update time because it's actually Saturday today. I ended up skipping out yesterday completely in terms of updates because I was just so locked in on the book that I figured, okay, I feel like an update can wait. Let me first figure out my own thoughts and opinions on it. And so while I did start this, I did not come for like an initial update and whatnot, which is why here I am right now. However, I'm farther into the book than I should have been at this point for like a first update, because I'm nearly done. So I finished all of this in the span of yesterday and today, because it is a mesmerizing story. It's engaging and intriguing, and you know, I have been hooked in, continue to the point where I'm nearly done. At this point, I've read like, I would say 85 to 90% of it, which is why right now, at least, if you just want to know and you're curious, I'm on chapter 29, page 329. I would say I have like 90 pages left or something like that, which is fine, but it's kind of sad that it'll be 90 last pages of the only Emily Henry book I have remaining left. But here we are anyway. I have so much left of the book, and so I figured I'd give you quick thoughts on it before I go and finish this little last bit out, and then final updates and whatnot, because I have lots to say on this, and it isn't like a typical read, but I feel like that kind of enhances on what I want to say in the first place, which is why here we are. In this story, basically, for a quick premise, we follow Margaret Ives, who is basically the reclusive heiress to the House of Ives, and back, I would say like about 20 years ago in the past, she completely vanishes from the media eye, so no one can track her, no one can trace her. She's gone, she's disappeared, and suddenly no one knows really what happened to her. They just think she kind of disappeared off of the face of the earth. Except now, fast forward 20 years later down the line in present timeline, we have our main character Alice Scott from this book, who actually gets contacted by Margaret to kind of come out to the island that Margaret is on, because Margaret wants to commission Alice, who is like a author slash journalist, she's into that field, to kind of write this like memoir about Margaret's like family secrets and the scandalous lives they've all lived together, the generation leading up to her, and then her own like memoir and story, because everyone just forever since been obsessed with Margaret and her life and her story, obviously because she comes from such like a wealthy and privileged family and whatnot, and so everyone wants to have like a piece of it, because what you get in the media isn't enough. Except they have their own little backstory behind everything, which is, you know, now then spun out of control to the point where it's shifted to kind of give the narrative that people want to be more salacious and clickbaity, which is why now she wants to come out and give her own story. And so you understand from that there are three different sides to a story. There's his, her, and then the actual story involved. But now Alice has actually gone out to the island to kind of help Margaret with this, because she believes that this could be her big break essentially in writing, considering the fact that Margaret is still like a hot topic despite the fact that she literally vanished. And if Alice were to write that book, that would kind of boost her career beyond like the highest limits. Except Alice is not the only one that Margaret kind of invited to the island for this. We also have a different author who is called Hayden Anderson, who is called out there to do the same thing. Except Hayden is like a Pulitzer Prize winner, and now Alice has some serious competition with him. And the way this competition is to be resolved is that Margaret will kind of spend the next 30 days with each of them, giving them pieces of her story. And because they both have like ironclad NDAs, they can't really discuss the pieces they got, to the point where they both probably are getting a separate story from Margaret. She can kind of lie, and they don't really have the resources to fact check or whatnot amongst themselves. They have to go look it up online. Regardless, by the end of the 30 days, whoever writes like a better proposal is the winner essentially of the story, and the other person needs to leave. and so they're kind of fighting it out on that front, who will get her story, because she is giving pieces of it, yeah, but at the moment you're not really sure who's getting what of it, and you're trying to go along with that. And so we have that storyline, obviously, but then we also have the two of them, Alice and Hayden, in the background starting to fall for each other, because it's unexpected, but they realize truly that they're like the only ones for each other and whatnot. They understand each other in a way that no one else does. But then also there's this competition career-wise that's come up between the two of them, that now they don't really know how to resolve it, because by the end of it, one of them will have won the chance to write the story, and the other will be heartbroken walking away, and it just doesn't make sense to start anything between the two of them when these are the circumstances. And I feel like this is an interesting story overall. Obviously, I'm still reading and I'm still really interested to see how it goes down, but for what I've read right now, I will be so for real, it doesn't feel like an Emily Henry book, but at the same time it feels very much like an Emily Henry book, because firstly you have the whole thing with Margaret and her storyline, and so you have kind of like a mystery element almost introduced to the story, but then you also have like her classic romance and the love story that you've got between Hayden and Alice. And for me personally, this book reminds me a lot of like a crossover between Beach Read and Book Lovers for some reason. I don't know if it's just me, because I know online people say that it feels a lot like Beach Read because two writers, but then this one specifically, I don't know why, it's giving me like bits of Book Lovers as well, and then you have different like cameos from like other books and whatnot, and callbacks to things that characters might have said in other books, which is how it kind of links in the whole Emily Henry cinematic universe. The other books have it as well, but I feel like in this one it's more prevalent, and there's many things I can discuss if I sit down to do so. But for now, specifically, if I were to actually speak about my own thoughts on it, I'm not really sure. I think that's the whole reason why I read so much before I came in for my first update, and that's because I kept telling myself that okay, it'll get better at some point, to the point where I can finally come and give you good opinions. But at the moment at least I'm still conflicted, which is why I had to come in and update before I finish it out anyway, because I'm enjoying Margaret's story. I'm really curious to see where it would go. You have her own little like love story. It's kind of like a tragic one over there with her own husband, her late husband, so that I'm really enjoying reading about, and I can definitely see their connection, and I'm really curious again to see where her story is going to end up and what's going to happen next, because we are being obviously edged to the point where we know there's going to be like a big cliffhanger to jump off of. It's just we don't know yet, and so it's scaring me, but I'm still excited to see where it'll go. But for Alice and Hayden specifically, because this is primarily supposed to be like romance-ish the way it's marketed, those two, I don't really see the connection. Like, it feels very physical, and they're definitely there for each other at some points, but their connection just doesn't stand out to me the way the other characters and couples we read about in the past couple books did. And I'm not trying to compare or anything, it's just Emily Henry's standards for me have been raised quite a bit, to the point where I was expecting something great out of it, and at the moment at least I'm not really connected with their romance specifically, because I'm enjoying them as characters, don't get me wrong. It's just the two of them together, I'm not really sure if it makes a lot of sense, because I don't see much of an emotional connection. It's very physical, and physical too. It's not like there's spice or anything, it's just it feels very much like they're attracted to each other rather than falling for each other in love and whatnot, which is why, again, nothing wrong with that. Hopefully that'll pick up at some point. But yeah, that's my initial thoughts right now, at least on the story. Again, very conflicted, because I expected this to be another banger, considering the last two were like 5 stars back to back, and right now I'm not sure if it'll be, so I'm gonna go keep reading. I need something like drastic to happen, but at the same time I'm not really sure, because every time I do set this down, my mind keeps wandering back to it, but not in a 5-star sort of way, because I feel like if it would be 5 stars, I'd already know. Because if I'm giving a book 5 stars, it means it's been 5 stars since the very first page, and I knew right from the beginning that it's gonna be. Or when I read the very end of it, it's gonna hit me to the point where I just know that I can't give the book any other rating. I can't live my life knowing that I rated it something below 5 stars, which is why at the moment at least I think it might be leaning towards the second option, because like I said, I can't stop thinking about it when I'm not reading. It's just when I'm reading it specifically, there are bits that I'm finding a little bit of a drag, and they're kind of boring, but at the same time, again, I'm hoping things will pick up, things might get better, which is why I'm gonna go keep reading, and I'll update you all now directly tomorrow, I think, once I have this last little bit done, and we'll pray and see how that ends up. But so far that was my, I guess, update for Great Big Beautiful Life. It's still not a bad time, don't get me wrong, it's still an Emily Henry book. It's just as per my other Emily Henry standards, I am comparing it higher, which is why here we are. I will get back to it now, and hopefully in my next update will come down and break down some of the parallels I see between this and the other books as well, which is why here we are. I'm gonna get back to it now, and I'll see you all in a bit once I'm done with it at this point, which is why for this update, hopefully everyone just gets their happy ending and Margaret's story isn't too sad, and I'm gonna get back to it now. So here we are, about it. Great Big Beautiful Life with a lot of beautiful writing that I will go enjoy now, and so bye. Hi guys, and welcome now for my final update for this video, because it's actually Sunday night, the night I'd like to be posting this vlog, but also because I've gone ahead and finished our book out. I stayed awake yesterday in the night kind of finishing out our last little bit, and ever since then I've been pondering my thoughts over this through and thinking over what I wanted to come say, which is why it's been a few hours since I'm done, and now I'm here for my final review of this book as well, because I'm done. I've thought a lot of things to say and I have a bunch to kind of speak about, which is why here we are for my final review of Great Big Beautiful Life. First, I'll be speaking about the things I enjoyed about this book, and then the things that I didn't like so much. But anyway, regardless, that's what we'll be discussing first before I need to segue into a couple of other things. Basically, for what I enjoyed, firstly, we have Margaret's story. Just the way it's written as such a tragedy, I really had a good time with, because I know it's sad, but it was right up my alley, and I didn't really expect it. But then also, like with the rest of this week, the way it's been, I feel like these books just brought out the whole spectrum of range of human emotions out of me, thanks to which this one also did not think I was connected to the characters that way, but apparently I was, because Emily Henry did squeeze out a few tears out of me as I was reading the end of Margaret's story, and then, you know, kind of feeling her loss and feeling her pain and just feeling so sad for her, because just the way it's written, again, is beautiful, and it kind of makes you wonder how she's obviously a really rich person, but does that not give her the right to her own peaceful life, just the way everyone else has it? And so that was really sad, that was really well realized, and, you know, good to think about overall, and that was just, again, a thought to chew upon that I really enjoyed reading about. The thing I liked obviously is Emily Henry's classic writing style. There are a few quotes from this that have been branded into my head right now because I had so much fun reading it, so much fun just going over, kind of eating all of that up, and that was really cool to read about. We also had like the charming list of characters, the side ones, that, you know, they brought life to the story and they were really fun to read about. But then also we have like the setting and whatnot of the town that I really enjoyed, and just the dynamic of all the characters throughout and everyone, you know, in it and whatnot, because that was well developed in this story. What I didn't enjoy personally was the balance between Margaret's story and Hayden and Alice's romance, because all three of them are well developed as characters. It's just when it comes to the romance between the two of them, Hayden and Alice, that feels underdeveloped, because I feel like there wasn't enough like page time for that to be established. Because while we did get witty banter like we do in every other Emily Henry book, this one I feel like there wasn't the kind of amount we get in the rest of the books, and I feel like at some point their romance went from 0 to 100. At some point on the current page they were like absolutely falling in love and whatnot, but a few pages ago they were still fighting it out over the job, and so that feels a little bit rushed. But then also we have the fact that this, in my opinion, kind of lacked some of the yearning we get with the, again, rest of Emily Henry's classics and whatnot, because just some bits of it that, you know, didn't make sense for me romance wise for the two of them. But otherwise, yeah, I enjoyed the rest of the story. I liked going along with it, and now this segues me into my rest of the thoughts and whatnot, which is to say that even though I didn't like the story overall, there were some bits that definitely felt like dull and kind of boring for me. It makes me think of something Hayden said, the main male character in the book, earlier on, when he was talking about how he's like a journalist writer and whatnot, so there are some pieces he writes and puts out into the world that the mass public may not enjoy, but does that mean he should not have put it out in the first place, and that is less important? And that kind of made me remember something Charlie Laster's mom actually said in Book Lovers, wherein she speaks about how her art is only important if a rich person deems that they like it and whatnot. And so I feel like that comparison feels, again, like purposeful and whatnot, because Emily Henry wouldn't put it in if it wasn't, but also because, again, the story might not have been my favorite, but it's not any less important that she had to publish it and whatnot. It still has to be out there, and just because one person may not enjoy certain art and whatnot, it still needs to be out there to be enjoyed and to exist by itself as a separate entity and whatnot in the world. And so I thought that connection was beautiful. Another thing I actually realized as I was reading this is the fact that, if you all remember, and this is not a spoiler in any sense, don't worry about it, it's just something you'll, you know, understand, kind of like an Easter egg if you've read the book. In Beach Read, how we have January kind of changing up genres and writing the Great Family Marconi. It's not what she would normally write, but it's just something she changes up because she needs that kind of set in pace and whatnot at that specific moment. For some reason, I don't know why that clicks in my head when we think about Emily with the House of Ives, because this isn't the sort of thing she'd normally write, I feel, but also it feels, again, fully intentional that she kind of makes it line up that way, because the way January needed that book, what if the Great Family Marconi, what it was for January in Beach Read, the House of Ives in this story was for Emily in this book as an author in real life, because again, it feels again too intentional and too purposeful to be a coincidence, which is why I just thought that was something we could like really quickly touch upon, because it's not necessarily like an Easter egg, it's more or less a conclusion that needs to be drawn, but once you draw it, you can't go back, because the way you have certain parallels kind of connecting these two, and obviously these three together in a story, I don't know, it just feels like she's come full circle, rounded out in her career. And I know I said earlier that this doesn't feel like an Emily Henry book, but I take back everything I said previously, because if you think about it in that perspective, it feels fully rounded out, it feels purposeful, and it feels like this was exactly what she needed to write in the moment, and that she's been putting out feelers and clues ever since these books that she was going to get to this one day, and that this was always supposed to be part of the Emily Henry cinematic universe, which is why this feels again just so purposeful and realized, and just like a whole crazy big Easter egg plot twist bunch that, you know, I was going upon a goose chase, but still fun to kind of figure out, which is why overall that was just really fun to think about, just something to kind of sit upon, which is why I think I'm going to give this like 4.5 stars overall. Again, not a bad rating, it's just I expected it to be a little more because it's an Emily Henry book, but regardless, I'm still so happy I got to it. And I feel like now, knowing what I do, having, you know, drawn these conclusions, but also knowing the way this book ends and knowing the kind of plot twist we get, if I go and reread this, there is a good chance I might up that rating to 5 stars, because I haven't stopped thinking about it, and now I kind of want to re-experience the story again, but with the new set of fresh eyes that I've developed after forming these opinions and whatnot, which is why thinking in a few months time now, once I have, you know, all the details kind of erased out from my memory, I would like to go back in, read this again, kind of figure out my thoughts on it, and also kind of as I'm doing that, reread like Book Lovers again for a little bit of context before I do that, because I feel like these two, now that they connect in that sense, really have the potential to be 5 stars again for me. It's just I need to think it over, which is why I'm going to give myself some time to do that, and that's what I'll be doing. But until then, that was my update for this book. Still an incredible story. I had so much fun reading it, and so much of it has really just stuck with me, made me feel everything in the best way possible, and I'm happy I got to it now. One thing I will say though is that if you're reading all of these books, please go ahead and read them in the publication order as well, because I feel like that just added on to my experience, especially because all of them connect to some of the other books she's ever written before, and just watching all those references throughout was so fun. At this point now, after I'm done with this update, I will go ahead and record a few quotes just to put in as b-roll throughout the entire video, just so you all get motivated to pick up these books as well if you haven't already, and if you have, to go reread, because I did go ahead and listen to them on audio, which is why I don't have any b-roll shot as of yet, but I'd like to go ahead and shoot it and just re-experience the whole thing, because it's such an experience again to have so much fun with, watching all the cameos kind of fall through in place together makes her feel like a mastermind, but also just the way she writes to kind of enjoy that throughout again, that I can't wait to do that right now, and I will. But now, to end off the video, I thought I'll give you like a final ranking now that I've read all of the adult romances she's got out at the moment at least, because I'm done reading her backlist at this point, and so final ranking time, because I've been waiting like a whole year since I did my part 1 to this video to actually be able to do this and kind of establish final thoughts. But I think in final place, at the moment at least, it's either gonna be Great Big Beautiful Life or Book Lovers, tied up for final spot, not because they're bad books, but because the rest of them are just so much better. These are the only books I haven't given of hers 5 stars yet, and I think upon reread as well I might change my opinions, but for now, at least at this point in time, these are bottom of the list. Again, don't know which one is supposed to be at the bottom, it's just both of them are tied for last place, and that's not a bad thing, it's just the way I'm thinking right now, which is why we have these. Next up, I'll put People We Meet on Vacation after them, because again, not a bad story. I gave this 5 stars when I read it upon reread just now as well last week. I really enjoyed it. It's just it does not live up to the rest of these books, which is why this is up after these two on the list. In third place, we have Funny Story, which is like a great contender to come out overall and across, but again, it's just not as good as the rest of the two that are remaining, which is why unfortunately it has to go third place. But overall, it's one of the best romance books I've ever read, so that just goes to say that in her ranking, she's got such solid books that something like this has to go third place just so the other ones can take the top and whatnot. But it's still such an incredible book that just shows you that she's such an amazing author and whatnot, that she can write such an incredible story and it still takes third place because she's written better stuff and outdone herself with other things, in my opinion, which is why here we are. For first and second place, I'm actually not sure at the moment whether it's Happy Place or Beach Read, which is why for right now I'm going to put Happy Place on number 2, and I'm actually going to go ahead and put Beach Read on number 1, just because I need to go ahead and reread the two of them to kind of figure out which one is my actual number 1 at the moment at least, which is why this is going to be my ranking for right now. But this summer I've already decided I want to take these 3 on with me on vacation and whatnot and reread, and I feel like once I'm done with my reread, I'll finally be able to decide whether I like this one or this one better. matter, which is why it's not really first or second place. It's more like there's like a tie between these two, and then this comes second place, this comes third, and then these two are in last fourth place. But they're still such incredible books that hopefully y'all will take away and at least read one of these, having gone and watched the end of this video at this point, because they're just so amazing, so incredible, nothing like you've ever read before in the best way possible. And these books are my everything to me. Can't wait to again go and read these over and over again throughout the rest of my life, because they're just such incredible stories that will stick with me because I love them so much. And again, just such incredible, beautiful stories, beautiful books that I love them. I personally feel like she as an author also makes all of her characters, despite how bad someone might be, a good person overall throughout, so you feel like her stories are more adult and real and set in like a real life setting for you to actually connect to how normal and like regular life it feels, which is why again, beautiful books feels again purposeful, just like our mastermind Emily Henry makes it, which is why here we are. With that being said, I loved all of these throughout. I'm so happy I've read her entire backlist now, and I can't wait to be one of those crazy people who keeps going back and reading these over and over again, because they just make me want to be crazy for them. They're that incredible. And so here we are. As a picky reader, I still think she's going to be my number one author forever, because her books just always hit the mark somehow. And so that's it for me, having finally gone ahead and read all of her backlist. Now, as I go ahead and wait for whenever at some point she'll come out with her next book, we have reached the end of this video for this week specifically, which is why hopefully you all had like a good time somewhat coming along with me, reading a bunch of her rom-coms and seeing which one will be 5 stars, because it's not about the 5-star feeling. It's just when you read the right book in the right moment and it connects and sticks with you, it feels just so incredible. And we had that kind of come a couple of times in this video as expected, because again, it's Emily Henry, which is why overall I had the best time recording this, and hopefully you all did too, coming along with me. And if you did, like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them. And at some point, again, can't wait to go ahead and reread all of these with y'all again, because it's just so worth it in my opinion. So if y'all haven't picked it up, please do. If you've read them, come chat with me in the comments about them, because my favorite books ever. Why would I not want to take any opportunity to come speak about them? Regardless, yeah, for now we have reached the end of this reading vlog, and so now I'll see you all directly in next week's video whenever that comes out. And so until then, take care, stay safe. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And honestly, I just had the best reading week literally ever, because I found 2 5-stars back to back. My favorite books ever. Had the best time, and this video was such a success. So hopefully next week's will be too. And until then, see you all, take care, and bye.